Rewire your mind. Ditch bad habits and build good ones. Habits shape our lives in profound ways, acting as the invisible threads that weave together our daily routines, decisions, and long-term outcomes. Some habits propel us toward success, health, and happiness, while others hold us back, tethering us to unproductive or harmful behaviors. The good news is that our brains are not fixed. They are malleable, capable of rewiring themselves to ditch bad habits and cultivate good ones. This process, grounded in the principles of neuroplasticity and behavioral psychology, requires intention, strategy, and persistence. By understanding how habits work, identifying triggers, and implementing deliberate changes, anyone can transform their habits and, in turn, their life. The science of habits, understanding the habit loop. At the core of every habit lies a neurological pattern known as the habit loop, a concept popularized by Charles Duhigg in The Power of Habit. The habit loop consists of three components: the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is the benefit or satisfaction derived from the action. For example, consider a bad habit like mindless snacking. The cue might be boredom or stress. The routine is eating a bag of chips, and the reward is a temporary sense of comfort or distraction. Breaking a bad habit begins with dissecting this loop. By identifying the cue, such as sitting on the couch after work, you can interrupt the cycle before the routine kicks in. Similarly, building a good habit involves creating a new loop with a clear cue and a rewarding outcome. For instance, to build a habit of daily exercise, you might set out workout clothes, cue, exercise for 20 minutes, routine, and enjoy a favorite smoothie afterward, reward. Over time, the brain associates the cue with the routine and reward, making the behavior automatic. Step 1. Ditch the bad habits. Eliminating bad habits requires more than sheer willpower. It demands a strategic approach to rewire the brain's pathways. The first step is awareness. Many bad habits operate on autopilot, so tracking your behavior is crucial. For example, if you want to stop procrastinating, keep a journal to note when and why you delay tasks. You might discover that procrastination spikes when you're overwhelmed or tired, revealing specific triggers to address. Once you've identified the cue, the next step is to replace the routine while keeping the reward intact. This is critical because the brain craves the reward that the bad habit provides. For instance, if stress triggers smoking, the routine, to feel calm. The reward, replace smoking with a healthier routine, like deep breathing or a quick walk, that delivers a similar sense of calm. This substitution leverages the brain's existing wiring to create a new, healthier pathway. Finally, disrupt the environment to make bad habits harder to perform. Environmental cues heavily influence behavior. If you're trying to cut down on social media overuse, move the app to a hidden folder on your phone or log out after each use. By increasing the effort required to engage in the bad habit, you weaken its grip over time. Step 2. Build good habits that stick. Building good habits follows a similar framework, but focuses on creating positive loops from scratch. The key is to start small. Grand, ambitious goals often lead to burnout, but small, consistent actions compound over time. For example, if you want to read more, start with 5 pages a day rather than aiming for an entire book each week. This approach, often called tiny habits by behavior scientist B.J. Fogg, reduces resistance and builds momentum. Next, anchor new habits to existing routines. This technique, known as habit stacking, ties a new habit to an established one. For instance, if you want to practice gratitude, commit to writing down 3 things you're thankful for. New habit. Right after brushing your teeth in the morning, existing routine. The existing habit acts as a reliable cue, making the new behavior easier to adopt. Consistency is the backbone of habit formation. The brain strengthens neural pathways through repetition, so aim to perform the new habit daily, even if imperfectly. Studies suggest it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit, though this varies by individual and complexity. To stay on track, use tools like habit trackers or calendar streaks to visualize progress and maintain motivation. Finally, reward yourself to reinforce the habit. Rewards don't need to be extravagant. They can be as simple as acknowledging your progress or treating yourself to something small, like a favorite coffee after a week of consistent workouts. The reward solidifies the habit loop, making the behavior more likely to stick. Overcoming obstacles and staying resilient. Rewiring your mind is not a linear process. Setbacks are inevitable, but they don't signify failure. One common obstacle is the all-or-nothing mindset, where missing a day of a new habit leads to abandoning it entirely. To counter this, adopt the never miss twice rule. If you skip a habit once, prioritize doing it the next day to prevent a downward spiral. Another challenge is lack of motivation. Motivation is fleeting, so rely on systems instead. Create a clear plan with specific cues and routines, and design your environment to support your goals. For example, if you're building a habit of healthy eating, stock your kitchen with nutritious ingredients and prep meals in advance. Social support can also make or break habit change. Surround yourself with people who encourage your goals, whether it's a workout buddy, a study group, or an online community. Sharing your progress creates accountability and reinforces your commitment. The long-term impact of rewiring your mind. The beauty of rewiring your mind lies in its ripple effect. Small changes in habits can lead to transformative outcomes. For instance, replacing a nightly TV binge with journaling or meditation can improve mental clarity, sleep quality, and emotional resilience. Over time, these small shifts compound, reshaping not just your daily routines, but your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who prioritizes health, productivity, or creativity, and this self-concept drives further positive change. Moreover, the process of habit change teaches discipline and self-awareness, skills that translate to every area of life. By mastering the art of ditching bad habits and building good ones, you gain control over your actions and, ultimately, your future. The brain's plasticity ensures that it's never too late to change, no matter your age or circumstances. Conclusion: rewiring your mind to ditch bad habits and build good ones is a powerful act of self-transformation. By understanding the habit loop, starting small, leveraging existing routines, and staying consistent, you can reshape your behaviors and create a life aligned with your goals. The journey requires patience and resilience, but the rewards, greater health, productivity, and fulfillment, are well worth the effort. Start today with one small step and watch as your rewired mind unlocks a world of possibilities. Ditch bad habits and build good ones. In the journey of personal growth, the path to a better self is often paved with good intentions but obstructed by bad habits. The truth is, our daily lives are largely a result of the routines we've established, whether consciously or not. These habits, from the small, unconscious acts to the deeply ingrained behaviors, shape our character, our productivity, and our overall well-being. The seemingly insurmountable task of changing our lives, then, becomes much more manageable when we focus on the fundamental building blocks, ditching the bad habits and building good ones. The first step in this transformative process is awareness. We must become detectives of our own lives, observing our patterns without judgment. What triggers that late-night scroll on social media? What makes us procrastinate on important tasks? By identifying the cues and the routines that lead to our undesirable habits, we can begin to dismantle them. This isn't about shaming ourselves. It's about understanding the mechanics of our own behavior. A bad habit isn't a moral failing. It's a learned response to a specific trigger. For example, the habit of snacking on junk food might be a response to stress, boredom, or even a particular time of day. Once we understand our habits, the next step is to replace them. Simply trying to stop a bad habit often leads to a void that the brain is eager to fill, which can result in a quick return to the old behavior. The key is to create a new, positive habit that provides a similar reward. Instead of mindlessly scrolling, we could read a chapter of a book. Instead of grabbing junk food, we could go for a short walk or prepare a healthy snack. This replacement strategy, known as habit stacking, leverages existing routines to build new ones. You can stack a new habit onto an old one. After I brush my teeth in the morning, I'll do 10 push-ups. This method makes the new habit easier to remember and integrate into your daily life. Building good habits requires a shift in mindset from a focus on results to a focus on systems. We often get discouraged when we don't see immediate results, but true change is the product of small, consistent actions over time. Instead of aiming to lose 20 pounds, a better goal is to walk for 30 minutes every day. The latter is a manageable, daily action that, when repeated, will inevitably lead to the desired result. Tiny habits are the secret weapon here. Starting with something so small that it feels almost ridiculous, like flossing one tooth or doing one sit-up, builds momentum and makes the habit much more likely to stick. The goal is to make the new behavior so easy to start that you can't say no. Finally, cultivating good habits is an act of self-compassion. There will be days when we slip up. A single missed day is not a failure, it's a data point. The key is to get back on track as soon as possible, without dwelling on the mistake. The journey to a better you is not a sprint. It's a marathon of continuous improvement. By being mindful of our habits, intentionally replacing negative patterns with positive ones, and focusing on consistent action rather than instant results, we can fundamentally transform our lives, one small, intentional choice at a time. The power to change is not in a single monumental effort, but in the quiet, persistent rhythm of our daily routines. Of all the landscapes we will ever explore, the most complex and consequential is the one contained within our own skulls, the human mind. It is here, in the intricate network of neural pathways, that our habits are forged. These habits, the automatic routines that dictate so much of our daily lives, can be our greatest assets or our most stubborn adversaries. The journey to self-improvement, therefore, is not a matter of sheer willpower alone, but a process of neurological renovation, to rewire the mind, ditch the bad habits that hold us back, and consciously build good ones that propel us forward. The first step in this process is understanding why bad habits are so tenacious. They are not moral failings, but clever evolutionary shortcuts. Our brains are designed to conserve energy, and habits automate repeated behaviors, freeing up cognitive resources for novel problems. A bad habit, like reaching for a sugary snack when stressed or mindlessly scrolling through social media, begins with a cue, a feeling of boredom or anxiety, that triggers a routine, eating, scrolling, to deliver a reward, a dopamine hit, a distraction. This loop, repeated, becomes etched into our neural circuitry. The brain, seeking efficiency, paves a well-worn path, making the behavior increasingly automatic and difficult to bypass with conscious thought. To ditch a bad habit, we must not simply resist it. We must dismantle this loop. Rewiring the mind requires a strategy more sophisticated than brute force. Willpower is a finite resource, easily depleted by stress and fatigue. The key is to hack the habit loop itself. This begins with awareness. We must become detectives of our own behavior, identifying the specific cues that trigger our unwanted routines. Is it a time of day? A particular location? An emotional state? Once the cue is pinpointed, we can work to avoid the cue, or, more powerfully, change the routine. The reward, the need for relaxation, a distraction, or an energy boost, is often valid. We cannot simply remove it. We must find a healthier behavior that satisfies the same craving. Replace the afternoon candy bar with a walk around the block. Swap endless scrolling with 5 minutes of a gripping audiobook. This process of substitution is not about elimination, but about revision, gradually paving a new, healthier neural pathway while the old one slowly fades from disuse. Building good habits leverages the same neurological principles, but with intention and patience. The goal is to make the desired behavior as easy and rewarding as possible to initiate. The mantra here is start small and celebrate. Relying on grand, sweeping declarations, "I will run for an hour every day," is a recipe for failure. Instead, commit to a 2-minute rule, a version of the habit so small it's impossible to refuse. Run for an hour becomes put on my running shoes. Write a novel becomes write one sentence. This eliminates the barrier to entry. Consistency at this micro level builds the neural foundation. Then, anchor this new routine to an existing habit. After I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute, and immediately reward yourself for completing it. This reward, a moment of self-congratulation, a check on a list, reinforces the loop, compelling the brain to see the value in this new pathway. Ultimately, Rewiring your mind is an act of profound self-compassion and realistic expectation. It is a recognition that lasting change is a gradual process of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new connections. There will be missteps and days when the old path feels more familiar. This is not failure, it is data. It is an opportunity to refine the strategy, understand the cue better, or choose a more satisfying replacement routine. To rewire your mind is to seize the architect's pen and redraw the blueprints of your own behavior. It is to move from being a passive passenger of your impulses to an active engineer of your destiny. By understanding the science of habit, strategically dismantling the loops that no longer serve us, and patiently constructing new ones with care and celebration, we unlock the power to fundamentally transform our lives. The journey begins not with a monumental leap, but with a single, deliberate step, repeated until the path is worn clear, leading not to who we were, but to who we aspire to become.